Welcome and good afternoon. The program is The Mailbox. I'm Courtney Morrison, and it is the 18th of June, 2025. Yes, indeed, it's a wonderful day. It's our post-Father's Day program, and we just want to say belated Happy Father's Day to everyone. Father's Day was a wonderful opportunity to show love, appreciation, and gratitude to the special fathers in your life. It was a special day to honor father and celebrate fathers, father figures, and paternal bonds. Fathers, in a world gripped by uncertainty, turmoil, and rising unthankfulness, your God given role remains sacred and irreplaceable. You are not in competition with mothers. Your strength complements their nurture. You don't seek bribes from your children, nor live to impress the world. You lead with integrity, provide with sacrifice, and protect with unwavering love. The just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. Proverbs 20 and verse 7. Even when society forgets the worth of fathers, God remembers. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. Colossians 3:23. Your silent prayers, sleepless nights, and difficult choices are seen by heaven. You are not here to be popular, but to be faithful. Be strong and let your heart take courage. All you who wait for the Lord. Psalm 31 and verse 24. Lead with love, not dominance. Guide with wisdom, not manipulation. Raise children who honor truth, not trend. Fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Ephesians 6 and verse 4. In a world where applause is fickle and values shift, remain steadfast, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. 1 Corinthians 16 and 13. Your word is not in fleeting praise, but in eternal impact. You are not alone. God is with you, and your calling is divine. Keep walking with purpose. You are chosen, you are capable, you are called. This is the program designed for men with guests who are men, hosted by men, and it's aired every Wednesday unless it's a holiday at 5:30 p.m. right here on Love 101, the family station. It's the Mailbox. Just a reminder, I'm Courtney Morrison. Along with me is my co-host.
Yes, Kevin Bailey here. Courtney, greetings, man and man from Moran Point in the Grill. Great to have you with us and those overseas as well. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to the Mailbox. It's June 18, 2025. To all our listeners, thanks for making Love 101 your station of choice. We know you have choices and yet you are with us. We're talking about the topic post Father's Day activities. Father's Day was a special day to honor and celebrate fathers, father figures, and paternal bonds. How did you show gratitude to fathers in your life? How can we continue to celebrate their role and spend quality time doing what they like beyond Father's Day? Today, you will hear from Pastor Andrew Norman, co-founder, president of Passion and Purity, and Pastor Paul Morris, a former missions and special projects coordinator of the New Testament Church of God in Jamaica, about their journey as a father. Want you to know that every week, whether it's Father's Day or not, this program, the Mailbox Challenge, encourage, empower men to become all that they were created to become. We're committed to that. We feel very privileged, Courtney and I, to facilitate this show.
Thanks, Kevin. We've been doing this for 13 years.
Yep.
Actually. Awesome, without break. Kevin, I'm going to ask you to help me to introduce our guest today. Our guest this afternoon are Pastors Andrew Norman, co-founder, president of Passion and Purity, and Pastor Paul Morris, former mission and special projects coordinator of the New Testament Church of God. May you do me the honor of introducing Pastor Norman.
Sure. Andrew Norman is a trained teacher and guidance counselor who taught at St. George's College and currently serves as guidance counselor at the Wolmer's Boys School. He's also a minister of the gospel and a marriage officer. He's a past student of the Titchfield High School, the Trinity Theological Seminary of South Florida, and the Jamaica Theological Seminary, where he gained 2 bachelor's degrees in theology and a minor in guidance and counseling. Brother Norman also has a diploma in teaching with the Jamaica Teachers Council. Did you know Andrew received salvation in Port Antonio as a teenager in high school at the Church of God of Prophecy? Pastor Norman was ordained as a minister of the gospel at Bible Teachers International Church since 1997, where he served as a part of the senior leadership staff and has ministered across Jamaica, the Caribbean, and the United States. He currently serves as male representative and advisor to Christian Teacher in Action and is also a long-standing advisor to the St. Andrew Lighthouse of Aglow International. He and his wife, Donette, greetings Donette, are the founders and presidents of the youth movement, Passion and Purity, with its motto, finding your passion, embracing your purity. Since 2008, thousands of students and hundreds of educators have benefited from major high school conferences and over 19 published books. Mr. Norman and his Passion and Purity teams have also made numerous presentations at schools, institutions, camps, and churches across Jamaica. He and his Passion and Purity teams of mostly college students and high school teens have a passion to see children and youth fulfill their God-given potential inside of their career paths and vocations for the glory and honor of God. He encourages parents of high school and college students to let them grow with one of their online groups, to join and even travel with the team to find their passion and embrace their purity. Andrew and Donette are also parents of 2 children. Marriage is honorable is also another couples and marriage mentoring focus that is spearheaded by Andrew and his wife. They are also both founders and pastors of the Eternal Church of Jesus Christ, the Record, since October 2020.
And Reverend Paul Morris is an educator, mentor, and mission-centered Christian minister. He is an ordained bishop of the New Testament Church of God. He was born in the parish of St. Elizabeth and grew up in Montego Bay, St. James. Reverend Morris is a proud Cornwallian and a graduate of the Sam Sharp Teachers College and the University of the West Indies, Mona. He is a father, a transformational coach, counselor, community service chaplain, and restorative justice officer. Reverend Morris has served as a minister in local and national roles over the past 20 years. He served as assistant pastor of the Escarpment Road New Testament Church of God. He pastored the Harborview, Discovery Bay, Albion, and Alley congregations. Reverend Morris has served as a vice principal, college lecturer, and high school teacher over his teaching career. He served as the first National Tertiary Students Ministry Coordinator and Missions Coordinator for the New Testament Church of God. He has spiritual mentorship for numerous college students and young people across the island and the Caribbean over the past 30 years. Bishop Morris currently lectures at the Shortwood Teachers College in the Department of Geography, History, and Social Studies. He has a passion for mission, education, leadership, and development. He is the founder of Twin Peak Leadership and EduVenture, a dynamic and practice providing leadership and educational coach to youth. He's married to Sandra, a senior nursing educator for 29 years. They are parents of beautiful twin girls. His life motto is no retreat, no reserves, no regrets.
That's right.
From Pastor Morris.
Yes, welcome, Pastor Andrew Norman and Pastor Morris. Welcome, gentlemen, to the mailbox. Great to have you. It's an honor and a privilege to have you as our guest today, this evening. So, man and man, remember, we want to hear from you. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. Remember, you can leave your comments via our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125 or call our studio lines 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. Also, we're on TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica.
Hey, ladies, want to say, what did you do for your father or the father figure in your life on Father's Day? Hope you honored him. You can participate in the program by leaving us a message via WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube. Yes, we're all live on those three platforms. Females, remember, no calls or voice notes are allowed.
Do we have Pastor Norman with us and Pastor Morris? Gentlemen, if you are here, welcome, Pastor
Thank you.
Morris. Great to have you.
Thank you. Uncle Kevin, Uncle Courtney.
Hey,
Bless you.
long time.
Blessing for this link up.
No, this is wonderful. Yes. Is that Andrew there?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, man. Great privilege to be on with great generals like you guys and the general himself, Mr. Morris, my brother. Greetings.
You mean Mr. Morrison?
I have three daughters and a son. So I'm Morrison.
Morrison. Okay.
No son, so it's just Morris.
Monday is a man thing, yeah.
Yeah. Generals are here, different stars.
No, gentlemen, it's a great show because having the two of you on one show, giving multiplicity of experience and expertise and impact and word. Oh my gosh, I think we have to go straight into it before time run out, So we have this thing, brothers, that we simply say Mandaya. After the count of three, we're just gonna say Mandaya. We want them to know men are present. So let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Mandaya.
I tell you, it is wonderful to hear the male voices in the place. So before we head into the main discussion, it's now time for us to get into the segment that we dub Draft, where we preliminarily open the way to our main segment. We want to ask our Reverends Morris and Norman a simple question. Is Father's Day given enough recognition or attention in society? Yay or nay? And then you can give us reasons depending on your answer. Reverend Morris, you want to take it first?
I sent the verdict out, but it's still at sea. I don't know if it is buried or whatever, but I have a feeling it's going to come back. The net not full. It's a yes and a no, and I think the verdict is still out. But by popular sentiments, I would say no. No, with reasons.
Yeah, share one or two other reasons. Can we want to know?
One of the reasons is that the good fathers are too quiet and the bad fathers are too loud. So it's a matter of who the eyes have it. The louder the shout, the more convincing it is to the public. But I could never vote against myself and my friends and all the people I know who have been great fathers. But we do know that there is a popular sentiment out there which say, "Why we don't get enough recognition," and I tend to agree.
Okay, if I may chime in here, I would statistically say no if you want to compare it with our female side of things. But I think it's growing. I think there's a growing understanding that fathers are important. And I think it's just a matter of time before we actually see. I notice in letters nowadays they are using this term, dear sirs. So I know the Western side of the world, that question stands strong, whether or not men are given enough recognition, fathers in particular. But on the Eastern side of the world, it's a different situation. So we are getting there, I think, in terms of understanding the importance of the role of fathers.
Thank you, Pastor Norman. We're up on our first break. This is the Mailbox. I am Courtney Morrison along with Kevin Bailey. We're talking about Post Father's Day show. Are men give them enough recognition as fathers? Soon come back.
The time that Grace could move is
5:47.
Me just never did I get through with no work, and me did I get desperate. Till one day me see one ad, but them want somebody for work at a massage parlor. Trust me, the place was nothing like them advertised. From the very first day, I had to be giving much more than massages.
Verify the legitimacy of job advertisements with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. To report suspected cases of human trafficking, call the nearest police station, 119 or 888-PROTECT. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
The National Prayer Vigil, under the distinguished patronage of His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General of Jamaica, invites you to its first Surrey County Prayer Vigil. Let us pray together. Jamaica needs God. We're praying for our island, for peaceful elections. We're praying against crime and violence, social behaviors affecting our schools and families. That's the National Prayer Vigil, Surrey County, Sunday, June 22, 6 p.m. at the Eastwood Park New Testament Church of God. Let us pray together. Jamaica needs God.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving with Grace.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man, I am a man.
Welcome back to the program. It's the Mailbox. I'm Courtney Morrison along with Kevin Bailey. Our two guests, Reverend Paul Morrison, Reverend Andrew Norman. Just want to remind our listeners that we're live on Facebook and YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. You can leave your comments via WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125 or call our studio line at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. We're also live on TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica. And so it's time for the inbox. And indeed, our two guests, indeed, you're being put on the spot. But I'm sure you can manage. Kev.
Yes. Just want to our listeners from Moran Point, Negril, we are very privileged, honored to have Pastor Andrew Norman, co-founder, president of Passion and Purity, and Pastor Paul Morris, former missions and special projects coordinator of the New Testament Church of God in Jamaica. And at the outset, we want to just get to know these gentlemen a little bit more. So this time we talk to Pastor Norman. Who or what has influenced you? Look how you turn out good, as them would have said. Oh, you turn out so good. But was there a man in your life, and who has influenced you, you think, to become who you are right now, Brother Andrew?
Yeah, well, I had a very good relationship with my father. That's the one. He passed away pretty young, just at 44 years old. But we had a very good relationship. And that, I think, caused me to be a very confident person. I wasn't doubting his love for me ever. And he spent a lot of time with us. So I think I can attribute that. I had some strong male role models in my life. Also, I had an uncle also by my grandmother, by my father's side, who was also a very powerful influence. And he insisted on me memorizing scripture and that kind of stuff from a little boy. Yeah, and he would come back and quiz us, and he would sit down with us and actually read. We'd actually have to read scripture with him. So yeah, that's Uncle Lloyd. Yeah. So some strong male role models in the classroom too. That young men that I admire the way they conduct themselves and so on. Yeah, from primary school and so on. Yeah. And of course, a few very strong role models in the church too. Sorry about that. I forget to say that. Yeah. So all of that packaged together, men of commitment. There were some men, especially after I became a Christian at 15 years old, the Lord really allowed me to see some examples of men of humility, commitment to God. And I think that really did something really special in my life and heart. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Pastor Andrew Norman. Pastor Paul Morris, what say you?
My journey is quite colorful, if I can put it that way. My journey into manhood. So I had a big brother. So I'd have grown up in a single parent situation. I had a big brother, Raymond, and he was a role model for me in the early days. He was a farmer and a Christian from the very early days. He was a musician and he could ride. So what really attracted me to him was one, when I would go to the bush with him and he would ride the mule. Right. At that time it looked like a horse. I thought it was a horse. Yeah, right. And then he was a guy who loved to play the guitar and sing. He would make up songs and he would sing songs, some of which I remember until today. So he was there in my life as someone who I was attracted or I was attached to for a pretty part of my life. He was living close to us. He was on his own. So sometimes I would go to spend time with him, go to the bush, the fields with him and so on. And I enjoyed riding on that very tall mule. I don't think a mule, it looked like a horse to me. So that was one aspect. And then I would go back to the country to spend holidays. So I grew up in Montego Bay, born in St. Elizabeth, grew up in Montego Bay. So every holiday, my mother would put me on a confidence bus, go to middle quarters. And I would be around my older cousins and my auntie, Aunt Gwelda, and God bless her, and Mas Wilbert, you call my uncle-in-law, I don't know which one you call it. So he was this very very sober Christian deacon in the New Testament church at Middle Quarters, and that's where we hung out as teenage boys with his son, sweet son, Frederick, and we were youngsters, and he would be there to talk with us, and we enjoyed his company. He was a very conversational person, so that influence. I had some other influences that are not as good as looking back now, but he kept us in line. And then at church, I had my pastor. That pastor I remember very well. He's now deceased, and he was the one who baptized me as a teenager. He was a very reassuring person. In fact, I remember in the holidays when I was in high school, I would go with the workman when he was renovating his house and so on. I'd go with the workman, and he would be very warm. He had, daughters in my age group, and I looked forward to going there. But he was very accommodating and very concerned about my development. So as I said, it's a patchwork relationship. And then later on, as I started to notice women and started to think about, having a stable, that kind of thing, there are some other persons in my life when I was on campus. And Kevin, you know, you're a source of inspiration to us in UCCF. So there are some UCCF guys who come and speak to us on campus. Yeah, man. Some of them were seniors, and some of them would come on, like Kevin. We come to your concerts and so on, and you're just trying to be on Robin. So we got a picture now, or say you call it a sophisticated picture of manhood at that time. So it kind of helped to shape me. We started to read books, you know, that would what do I call again? What's his name again? Measure of Manhood. What is it called? What's his name? That book there that everybody on campus had, you know, me in that group setting out to read. So we had a mixture. My pastor, my uncle-in-law, my brothers, I told you, Raymond, they were people who helped me to navigate that journey. I felt like, yeah, my man now, I want to take on the man thing. You know, Stephen Timberlake, God bless his soul, he's now deceased. Guys like those who were serious guys. Errol Brown, a little older than me, was UCCF president. These guys helped to nurture and to give me a more, you could call it now, a more godly and Bible-centered approach to manhood. And it's still in the making, even as I, you know, as I take on the role as a mentor myself. But it's a patchwork. You know, I came from a single parent home, a very strong mother, but you know, when I started to bloom in my teenage, I became a little resistant to that kind of nurturing. I needed some men in my life, and she understood that, and she tried her best. But you know, I survived, and my wife gave me the nod, which she would say that she thought when she met me at that time that I was from a home, because that was part of her checklist, that she wanted a man in her life that had the influence of a man in his life. I was able to deceive her in a good way. I'm pausing back for my moderators. Blessings, man.
Very much interesting stories. At one stage when you said you were for the construction, and you mentioned that the father had daughters in your age group, I was trying to figure out
was that related?
What was the main interest, but not going to. Challenges that you face growing up, Reverend Norman, as a young man. You were having outlooks on life. You're growing up through high school and coming into the era of choosing. The challenges you have and how you overcame it.
Okay, so challenges for me, looking back now, there were many, but I think having a supportive family. So my mother and father split up when I was 4 years old, and that created a big challenge here because, you know, especially on my father's side, he was kind of very pained by the separation. My mother had explained to us some of the reasons why she felt like she had to move on. But I had somehow, by the grace of God, I decided that, listen, mommy is mommy and daddy is daddy, and I'm not going to take sides. So that was one of the challenges. Growing up with my father's mother in Buff Bay, was a very poor background. I mean, wood fire was what we used to cook. Very rarely we had coal. And you know, we were, like I said, the support from the family though was what kind of helped. Also, my grandmother was a caretaker for the Baptist church in the churchyard, so we ended up going to church, to the Baptist church here in Buff Bay as a result of that.
I want you to pause there, Reverend Norman. I want you to pause there. We're on a time signal. So
okay.
I want you to pause at 6 p.m. in the evening. The program is the Mailbox. Reverend Norman, Reverend Paul Morris, and the Kevin Bay, the co-host. It is the Mailbox. We're going to take some messages. We'll be back shortly.
I'm Itana, and human trafficking is everybody's business. Call 1-888-PROTECT to report suspected cases of child trafficking.
The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6 p.m.
This Emancipation Day, experience a night of powerful praise and purpose. CC Winans brings her More Than This tour to Jamaica with Chevelle Franklin, Kevin Downswell, Prince Saj, John Mark Wigan, hosted by IT Ellis and Nadine Blair. Gates open 2 p.m., showtime 5 p.m. Tickets at select outlets island-wide or online at spuropen.com. Follow at More Than This Jamaica on Instagram for updates. CC Winans, More Than This concert with a call. Friday, August 1, Kings House East Lawns.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man, I am a man.
Welcome back. This is the Mailbox here every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. on your favorite radio station, Love 101 FM. So Courtney and Kevin in the place, and we have our very special guests, Pastor Paul Morris and Pastor Andrew Norman. Before we took the break, Pastor Norman, you were just sharing your perspective then, and then we're going to go to Pastor.
Right. Yeah, so some of the challenges. So as a result of being on the poor side of the spectrum, there were issues of self-esteem and all of that tried to come in. But like I said, the strong love from my father and mother too, certainly helped me to balance that. And also the introduction to the Word of God from early, even though I wasn't a committed Christian, that also helped growing up in the Baptist churchyard here in Buff Bay. And then we moved on. So I remember one turn in my life where my grandmother now, very faithful, she lived to be 94. She really did the best she could with us. And, when my father visited her, when we went to Port Antonio via the train, we to spend the weekend with him, everything was nice in a sense. But my grandmother, at a point, I was used to going to school very early, and she used to do all my breakfast and so on. But at a point, she decided to ask me to do my own breakfast. That was like a challenge because I had to light the fire and also prepare the breakfast. At my father, we had gas stove, so that was easier. And that caused me to begin to reach the school late sometimes, and I felt really strange to get into school late. But I suppose she was thinking that she needed to teach me to be responsible as the bigger of the two, myself and my sister. So that kind of created it's not that we can't put responsibility on our children, but I think we need to ease it in slowly so that they are not negatively affected. So I am able to handle myself very well in the home as a result of some of these things, but the transition was a little challenging there. But somehow, and also had asthma. I was very asthmatic as a youngster. So when I was up, I was up. And then when I was down for all a week out of school. But somehow I ended up being near the top of my class all the time. Kudos to my aunts and those who were always helping me to learn and to take books seriously and so on. And my uncle, of course, and my dad. He used to love to read. Every Saturday, he bought newspaper every day. So I grew up seeing my father reading. And they said, today a reader, tomorrow a leader. That's Dr. Saman from UWI had shared that. And I think I developed that passion for reading from early. So I was actually beyond those persons in my age group. So I always have a lot of, I flex with my age group, of course, but I also flex with older people. So I'd see my father reading the Sunday paper all day Sunday. And you'd read the whole paper pretty much, and I would develop that thing too, where we just all spend the day reading newspapers and so on. So that reading thing was very strong. My father was an excellent writer, and I think I got some of that from him too. He was a sign artist by profession. So these are some of the challenges, but thankfully I had the courage when I passed for Teachfield High School to go live with my mom because it was a more stable environment. She had gotten married by then. And fortunately, my stepfather also was like a real dad to me. So I didn't mention my stepfather earlier. He was a very powerful influence, very affirming influence in my life too, both through high school, because we just blended in with in his family as if we were just one of his children, and he did make a distinction. So that made a big difference. Even into my working years, when I started working on a cruise ship, he was there also as a protector. So those are some of the challenges. Didn't go to university because I think it was a conscious decision immediately after high school, even though I had a teacher that really set us up to go into university. But when I considered that I was the first child and I had 4 siblings after me, I decided that I would work and put myself through school. So those are some of the challenges. And my parents, they just were not mentally ready for that. They had not finished high school, so they didn't understand me getting subjects and not being ready to go work. So those are some of the challenges. But God was good, and I ended up getting tertiary studies out somewhere along the line in God's timing. Yeah, so I'll stop there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Reverend Norman. Sir Paul Morris, your challenges how you overcame. I mean, I sat just listening to Reverend Norman just a while ago and said, boy, if I never know him before, I know him now. Tell us a bit more about yours. Your mic is muted, Paul. Your mic is muted, if you could unmute. Reverend Morris, your mic is muted. May you unmute?
Oh, sorry about that. Yes. So I was just agreeing with you that we have known each other we're heading towards close to 20 years. Yeah, and so many things I didn't know. I think you need to invite him back to the mailbox, and I'll go on YouTube and watch so I can improve my knowledge of a friend like him. Yes, there are 2 things I want to mention before I even get into the challenges. One, there are 2 people that I failed to mention. One was my high school principal, Captain Dr. Dudley Stokes. And that he was at the Spectrum when I was about 12 years old. And then my best man, we have been friends for over 30 years, Lambert Pearson. He's online right now. I'm sure he's online somewhere. These are 2 people who shaped me at the both end of the spectrum. When I got to high school, I was living in the country, in Kensington, a place called Kensington St. James. Big up to all the people in Kensington who are on the mailbox right now. This is Miss Winsom's son, Paul Morris, who went to common entrance barefoot and passed for Cornwall and became a part of the community. Mashed it up, and went to Cornwall. I remember my primary school teacher said to me, Paul, you're a sneaky boy. But when you go to Cornwall, you don't think you can escape Dr. Stokes because he always have a cane with him. So when I got to Cornwall and met Dr. Dudley Stokes, and I discovered he was always, most times, if he's not in his suit, he would be dressed in his army, cadet outfit. And that attracted me so much, well dressed. And so I got involved in the cadet. And I remember the day, my first inspection, the sun was pelting me, both in my face and on the boots, the oversized boots that they had given me. I think the boots came from Yugoslavia. Yeah, one of those hit you, you'll be knocked out for maybe a 4.5. Yeah, which they would normally throw at each other the night before inspection at boarding house. And he came, and I'll never forget this. I was in the sun, my face made up, standing at attention, and he walked up, stepped up, and he just used his hand and lifted my chin. And I never forgot that. That proverbial touch, just lifting my chin to look up on that parade square, impacted my life. I remained a cadet, and I continued right throughout high school. I also was involved as an adult rank non-commissioned officer. I didn't get the training, but I tried to use that later on if time permitted. but it helped me to develop confidence in myself. And he had a very special place in the heart for cadets at Cornwall, because we had the head of the unit was a sixth former. You know, and when we had inspection, we knew he would be there because he was a captain in the JCCF, and he would wear his uniform. The helicopter would land up at his house when we were at Cornwall sometimes, on the field. We get a chance to get close to it. We feel like men. And then later on, after the dust settled, I met in my first year as a teacher, just 21 years old, teaching at William Lib High School. I met, a remarkable guy called Lambert, and he was the person who challenged me about my faith, because, you know, I'd almost been a backslidden state during college. I was at Sam Sharp Teachers College. Big up to all the Sam Sharpites who know me and who know the college. Great place. While I was at William Lib my first year, he challenged me about my faith because I was wavering, and that recommitment has kept I've kept for the last over 30 years, and we have been friends. He was my best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. He's a little older than I am, but he has remained to challenge me. Sometimes I want to run away, but he would challenge me. I remember when I was fooling around a young lady, you know, playing around, you know, because we were talking very strong, but I was not ready to get married. One day, Paul, how every time you come down from town, you're on the phone talking to this young lady? You know, what's going on? And I said to him, Bridget, I almost wanted to say to him, mind your own business. But I said, nothing. He said, no. Any girl you spend so much time with, you're sending a message. And, you know, well, I went back to Kingston and I thought about it and I prayed about it. And that piece of advice he gave me, you know, resulted in me having the wife that I have today, because I decided to go solo until I was ready. And we are friends up until today. Big up to Lambert Pearson, Bishop Lambert Pearson, parish overseer for the Prophecy Church in the parish of Trelawney. Those are men who had an impact and still have an impact on my life. The challenges for me was growing up without a man in the home, and coming to, especially to teenage, I was becoming rebellious towards my mother's leadership and care in my home. And it was a silent battle, because although I loved her so much, I resisted some of the kinds of, you know, strong medicine that I would get from a Christian Pentecostal Christian mother. And especially when I went to Cornwall, when I went to high school and I was in upper school now, you know, I wanted to come home the time when I felt like, you know, I can't tell you because my mama is still alive. She's 91 years old. But I can recall my mom having locked me out of the house one night. I think she scared me. I don't know what she told my big sister, but I came in late, real late, and I didn't seek permission. It was not the days of cell phone and text message and WhatsApp. And she took it very personal and she locked me out. My sister, I was there knocking at the side of the house, and my sister, I think after she went to bed, let me in, and it never happened again. But there was some of the struggles, the identity struggle of wanting to be a man, but the strongest figure in your life is a woman. And that changed, I mean, kind of circling the wheel, when I recommitted my life to Christ. When I committed my life to Christ, I got baptized at age 15. And I got attached to my Sunday school teacher, Brother Sylvan in Montego Bay. He's a minister of the gospel now. I think it's in one of the churches there, not in the New Testament church, but he was a tremendous figure. He actually is the one who helped me to believe that I could teach. So we had a program in church, and he said, Paul, you're going to be teaching Sunday school. And I took it lightly. But 2 years after that, I enrolled in Teachers College to becoming a teacher. You know, we talk about challenge, but I had to mention that. Apart of the challenge was just the fact that in a home, a single parent home where a mother is the sole breadwinner, and you're becoming a teenager and you don't have means, you know, you want a pair of Cougar. You know about Cougar, Pa? Forget about Bally, because that I saw them. I never owned a Bally. All right. But I eventually earned a Cougar Pa, about two or three of them. You know, but you wanted to have some things, you know. you wanted to be with the crew. I had my sport billy bag, all right? We were in Spain. I remember those days. My sister gave me a sport billy bag when, you know, I went to high school. So those, when they had the school parties and so on and concerts, you couldn't go to them because your parents, they say no. And there was a struggle. So it wasn't until I got to college at age 18 plus, that I began to feel the sense of manhood around me. And not all of it was positive, but, you know, I weathered the storm.
Thank you.
Challenges.
Pastor Morris, we're going to stick a pin. We're on our final break. When we come back, we'll just allow you to finish up that point as well. This is the mailbox. Courtney and Kevin in the place. Pastor Paul Morris and Pastor Andrew Norman with us. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man.
Be heard, be seen by your audience on Love 101 Radio and on social media. Call Love 101 for advertising rates that fit your needs. Exposure for your event, your business, concerts, church activity, civic events, seminars and conferences, job vacancies, specials, and more. Let Love 101 help you get your information out there. Call Love 101 FM now and talk with our sales and marketing experts and get the reach you need. Call 876-968-9596 or 876-968-9597 and ask for our sales and marketing department Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. or email love101fm@gmail.com. Love 101 FM, radio and social media platforms, making it happen for you.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man, I am a man.
Welcome back to this, the final segment of our program, The Mailbox. We have Pastor Reverend Paul Morris and Reverend Andrew Norman here with us. And we're talking about post Father's Day. More for hear what had happened Father's Day for you and if things had gone. But Reverend Morris, you were completing a little bit of your story. Let's hear it.
Okay, so you know, I was just sharing the fact that there were struggles. It was a really dynamic environment. One of the main issues, and I think that a lot of males face, is not having resources to enjoy and to participate in a way that their peers, especially when you're in an environment. I mean, I went to Cornwall College. That was where all the who stayed in Mobay. All right, apart from those who went to town, went to Florida or went to Mandeville. That's where the kids went. So the disparity was great, and so you didn't know how weak your resources were until you got to class, and there's a class party or football, class football competition and so on. You realize that, but all that you could buy for it is paper the socks. You can't buy the jersey, you can't buy the football boots, and you really have to have some support and some means, or you have to do the barefoot thing, or you have to look to be in a class where you have a generous rich boy, quote unquote, for that. So that was one of the challenges. I grew up in the church. My mother recommitted her life to Christ when I was about 7 years old. So my home, 6-7 years old. I was always in that kind of environment. So, when I was at school and my friends wanted to do stuff and so on, I pretty much would have that kind of control to as far as I wanted to go. You know, teenage stage was a bit strong. College life was a little more structured because being a teacher's college, the importance of professionalism and so on would add some controls. And you had some latitude because in those days you had some resources. I went to teacher's college on full scholarship. So that would kind of ease me, it was a leveler where that was concerned. So the little resources that I got, I could spend that in a way that made me look like, you know, I had something. But the challenges were there. The self-doubt was there from time to time that you faced. You know, when holidays come to go back home, you know, there are some, you know, I had some very key friends who they weren't Christians, but they were real friends. So, you know, when I invited them home, it wasn't a problem. You know, the challenges when I became interested in the female in that way, the insecurity kind of came in because I presume, that women wanted something more than what I had to offer in terms of my socioeconomic background. But you know, I made it.
Praise the Lord.
Right.
Awesome,
Okay.
awesome, awesome.
Because I may want to comment again. Leave
Sure.
something on the table. Yes.
There's a message here on WhatsApp, Dr. Lydia, I think it's Grapevine from Cascade, Portland. I have a feeling she wants to say, I know Andrew and his mother and grandma. His mother was a real role model for many. That's what we have there. And
Thank you for that, Kevin.
I have a feeling is Andrew, you know. She have Kevin, but I have a feeling it's Andrew. You know this lady?
That's Portland. St. Thomas close to Portland, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother was a New Testament lady that was well known. She's a very generous person, so a lot of people would know her. You know, even though I got saved in the church, I've got a prophecy. My mom and sister were members of the New Testament church up there in Black Rock side, near St. Thomas side, too, up that side, East Portland.
Wow.
So
we're neighbors. You know, gentlemen, all because of the time, I want both of you to help me with this. I was speaking to one of the vice presidents of a large financial institution, and he was telling me he is having difficulty in getting males joining the bank. Like he has 20 positions and he couldn't find one male that would qualify to join this financial institution. I was shocked. What is happening from your perspective, working with boys and men, starting with Andrew? Do you think we're making progress? What is it that we need to do? It appears that the women are taking the lead in so many ways and the men sidelined or emasculated. Help us, Andrew. Help us, Paul. Or we can get it right.
Well, I don't think there's a short answer for that, but one thing I know is that I trust the power of God's influence in my life. I believe if God has something for me, it's mine. But the thing is, men have to be properly prepared. They have to be trained and equipped. And men are good followers of example. Sometimes, well, children generally, they do what you do and not so much what you say. I don't know if we have enough real examples before the young men sometimes. Examples of honesty and integrity. That I think that will help so that they are not pulled aside by the persons with the negative influence. I think we definitely need to see more role models who are not wimpy, not effeminate, but just strong, but not abusive. I think it's very important. I think when all men are properly prepared, men go after what they want. And but you have to be a good follower first before you can be a leader. And I think a lot of persons are trying to be leaders. A lot of our young men are trying to lead. Some of them are trying to lead before they are actually taught and mentored. And so there's that kind of force ripeness that is not good and produces that kind of thing, where they are not qualified as they think they are. So that's part of it, I think, the lack of comprehensive training of men. It can't just be one-sided. It has to be, yeah. And we also need to challenge our men spiritually.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So I thought you were through. Just wanting to hear Reverend Marshall said, time is really catching up on us.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Andrew. I always love to hear perspectives, and as an avid debater, I will rebut in some places, but I make my points first. I think from so males are wild at heart. Man, wild. I don't mean wild in the Jamaican definition. In other words, when you look at a boy, baby boy, problem. You cannot confine. I remember one of my brothers, little two brothers that follow me. One of them, my mother used to was a seamstress, right? So she was sewing on the machine, and she was attending to these two boys. I mean, they came close behind each other like as if they were twins. And I remember at one point when she had to tie him to the machine while she was sewing, because she couldn't manage. He was full of so much energy. She needed to care for him, but at the same time, if she stopped to do that, so the struggle is real. But what I'm saying is that I think we as because of the lack of father figure in the home, women have sought many inventions to raise up boys, some of which have done pure harm. Boys have to explore and develop. That's why they have fathers. That's why when I grew up in the country, I love to go to the bush. I went to look wood in the bush. I went to shoot birds in the bush. I went for water in the bush. I went to the bush, my mother's bush. We love that because we were experienced. We told stories. We had stuff that we called our own. When you're raising a boy and the person who's raising a mother, where she's going to get time to do that? So we have a problem here, a cultural problem, a gap that needs to be filled. And so boys go to the road, they go to the river, they go to the stoplight because they want to be free. And without a father figure who can say, come with me to explore with me, let's go out together, you're going to have that challenge. And so even in the church setting, quickly, we find that the men in the church, we're too passive. We're too passive. We are too, because we occupy the top tier of leadership in most churches, whether it is, in a Brethren church or a Baptist church, it's men, it's largely men. We don't recognize that we can go kickball with the youth them too. We can talk patois with them too. We can relax with them. We can be vulnerable. We can make them know that we weren't perfect. If you know what I'm saying. Because I did a lot of that in the classroom before becoming a minister. And as a result, I have a large following. Andrew knows that because we have some guys who we share mentoring with. Because they were just more than willing to find. Everybody call me Uncle Paul, right? Uncle Andrew and Uncle Paul.
Uncle Paul.
Some big men. I go in the bank.
Uncle Paul.
Doctors, Uncle Paul. They'll be surprised. I served as UCF staff worker.
Uncle
I will be familiar with that. So I'm just saying here that we have to take a real look at how we do boys ministry, even in the church. Sometimes in my denomination, the boys ministry, Courtney, you know what we're talking about. Can we work with boys ministry? We know the struggle.
Yeah, man. But look like we need a part 2 to this, that a little more.
There's hope for them. Some high achieving men were wiping class, one away from home, from our institutions.
Pastor Paul.
Reverend 6:30, we have to end the program.
The program is short. Yeah, it's short.
Yeah, man. We forgot to do it another time.
So, just want to say.
So thanks to Dr. Nadine Blair, Operation Programs Manager.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Jermaine
Tim.
Johnson, our producer,
Yes, you-
hardworking producer, Niku Angus, technical support. Thanks to our very special guest, Pastor Andrew Norman, co-founder, president of Passion and Purity, and Pastor Paul Morris, former missions and special projects coordinator of the New Testament Church of God in Jamaica. Gentlemen, thank you. We have to go link again. We end the show with this quote: great fathers don't find fault. Great fathers find solutions. Read Markham.
Next week, same time, same place. Monday. Have a great evening.
Monday, amen.
Hey man, I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man.